I want to talk to you just briefly this morning about something that's near and dear to my heart that we gloss over many times when we say the words public trust. Sometimes that's just easy to say, I have the public's trust. You know, I have public trust. But it's a huge thing. So I want us to take a few minutes this morning, and I want you to know what you're getting into. The public expects more out of us than they do others. We have to act appropriately. And along with this comes something that you need to know about going into it also. There is a double standard. When I first got on the police department, that was one of my key things that I said. This isn't fair. There's a double standard. I have to act differently than other people. If you get a DWI, I know what's going to happen. If you worked at Brookshire's or a restaurant or the post office, I know a different thing would happen there. If you got arrested for shoplifting, if you get involved in a domestic situation, all of these unfortunate things, if they happen to someone else, it's one thing. If it happens to you, it's going to be a whole life changer, a whole different deal. Yes, there is a double standard. We can see the repercussions and the way that we are viewed by the public, some of the public. Say, for instance, the Rodney King deal. We all know what that was. That changed the outlook of the way some people looked at law enforcement. And I don't mean African American, white. I'm talking about everybody. It changed the view of some people, the way they looked at law enforcement. The deal in Missouri. So the point I'm trying to make is if you do something boneheaded, all right, it's going to affect all of your brothers and sisters all over the United States. And I just want to encourage you as I close these comments and tell you how serious I am about this. Don't do something that's going to embarrass your brothers and sisters in law enforcement, because we have enough of that going on. So uphold the standards of the people, the men and women. Look around, look next to you. Make them look good. It's a symbiotic relationship.
In our process, only about 10% of the people that sign up to take the test from day one, that call in and say, I want to be a Bossier Sheriff's deputy, when the process is all done and they're sitting right there where you are today, 10%. That says a lot about you. 90% flunked out, didn't make it, couldn't do it, gave up, whatever. You did not. You persevered, you endured. I know there were times you thought, this ain't worth it, but you stuck with it. That says a lot about you. You've learned a lot, but by no means think that this is the end of the learning. You've just been provided with the basics. You'll learn a lot. When you run into that training officer or that fellow deputy that says, I know it all, you run. Because you're being lied to, I promise you. Every day on this job you'll learn something, and you continue to learn to the day that you retire.
Goes to recruit Brian C. Sprinkle. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we've come a long way. In the old days, I guess in my day it wasn't all that old, but you know, we were out there on the road. I was for a year before I actually got to go to an academy. But nowadays, you know, that time of here are the car keys, here's your gun, go get them, that's over with. And so now we have to train and continually train these people so that they're as best that they can do and be the best that they can be.
And Sheriff Prator, you gave these men and women kind of a, not really a warning, but more of a, hey folks, you kind of live in a glass house. Everything you do, you're going to be held to a higher standard. You talked about that. Why is that so important?
Well, they need to know that people are, it's sad to say, but it's a fact, people are judging you because you, in fact, judge their actions. And so when you stop them for a seatbelt, they're going to make sure that you got one on. And they just don't want, they don't want somebody enforcing the law that won't live by that same law.
What are your words of wisdom?
Common sense. 99% of being a great police officer is having good common sense and using that common sense in the judgments that they make.
Today was an exciting day. I'm on almost, you said it, about 12 weeks of training, and there were times you felt like, man, I don't know about this, and folks had to do a gut check. But now that you've done with it, now that you've completed all this training, it not only how does it make you feel, but You're a team, and you guys went through this together. How does that make you feel as a team as well?
Well, we focused as a class on the team leader aspect of being a deputy, and that was really important to the instructors who led us, developing that team mentality. And to me as a class leader as well, I wanted to foster that in the class, and I'm very proud of the output that everybody put into this class, and really appreciative of the instructors for what they provided us. It means a lot to us.
Sheriff Prator was talking about basically a gut check of making sure this is what you want to do, about talking about how you're going to have to live to a standard that sometimes is looked at as higher than others. You're ensuring that you're complying with all the laws and regulations, like we all should, but that you're held to that standard. As you're listening to those words, did any of you cringe in your seats thinking, my word, this is a pretty important job about what I'm about to do?
Not really, sir. The instructors really instilled that into us. This is a calling for us, and this is what we want to do with our lives. And we couldn't be more proud to have graduated today, and we're ready to go forward and do what we need to do for the community and serve those who we volunteered to serve.
Son was born during the last trials and the test here at the academy. What did that feel like?
It was hard to deal with all the final testing coming up, trying to study for post-test. And then, like I said earlier, he was in the NICU for about 4 days, so I was having to sleep up at the hospital where there's no bed because it's for infancy, so there's just a chair in there. It was tough.
Tell me about about delivering while he's in the academy and what that experience was like.
Well, luckily I went into labor on a Saturday, so he wasn't in the academy, but when Monday rolled around, he had to go in and take a test, and it was just rough being in the NICU during the day by myself and then him having to sleep on a chair at night. So it was rough.